Hey, I'm Daniel Rondberg, author of the book No Stone Left Unturned and owner of the company Advisors to Authors, where we ghostwrite retirement-style books for financial professionals. And being somebody who writes books for financial professionals, I'm kind of like an author behind the authors. I wrote this book about something that is really, really important, and it's free. And if you're preparing for retirement or you're in retirement, you need to understand this, because if you're working with somebody who hasn't shown you this, it means they don't understand it or they don't know, and there's no way they'll be able to teach you it if they don't understand it themselves. So it's so important that you get this knowledge for yourself and understand what I'm talking about. And I'm talking about living benefits. Living benefits are so important for retirees because they create higher cash flows, more liquidity, better options, and more choices for retirees. And this is what I'm going to talk about in this video. I'm going to talk about 3 areas to understand when it comes to living benefits and why they're so important and you must have them in your retirement today. So first of all, let's talk about what are living benefits? Why are they so important? Well, let's take this to the board for a second. Let's say, for example, you own $1 million of life insurance. Now, spending a lot of time with financial advisors, insurance agents, CPAs, mortgage brokers, bankers, and even clients, over the last decade, I would basically meet with clients and go over all their financial circumstances, and I was really surprised how few times people really knew what living benefits are. In fact, that book, No Stone Left Unturned, is basically a compilation of me traveling the country, speaking to insurance agents, financial advisors, CPAs, and attorneys about how to take advantage of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act to leverage living benefits, things that are available in the tax code. There is a provision in the IRS tax code for living benefits. Why is it there? It's so important that you understand this. Let's say you have $1 million of life insurance. Now, what is life insurance? Life insurance pays when you die, right? But this is a living benefit. So what do you think this is? Well, a living benefit oftentimes is a free rider or attachment or something you put onto a policy that will give you living benefits while you're alive. Boom! So you can direct this $1 million to yourself while you're alive, or you have a life, as I just wrote on the board. So the reason that's so important is because a lot of people don't know how to plan for long-term care. Let me give you an example. Let's say, and this is why I wrote the book, let's say you're 60 years old today, and you have about 500 grand in a 401k, you have a home that's worth 400 grand, it's almost paid off, and those are all your investable assets, your net worth, essentially, right? All tax-deferred money, all money that's not necessarily liquid. And what if you need long-term care? What's going to happen? What if you need $1 million for long-term care, as they project in some reports? Where's that money going to come from? Well, if you have $1 million of life insurance, that would replace the damaged assets and lost income from your spouse if you passed away after that long-term care event. But what if you could attach a free rider to your life insurance policy that paid you $1 million tax-free while you're alive, so there'd be no burden on your family, take care of everything you need, get the best top quality care at home, and not have to wait for approvals or insurance companies or permissions in order to be able to get care at all. So a living benefit is crucial to be able to say, hey, look, you have this life insurance anyway, you might as well have the right kind of life insurance. And this is why I say not all policies are created equal. And this is why it's so important to do what's called a life insurance review. You need to sit down with a life insurance agent who understands living benefits. So when I would meet with clients, I would first look at their policies they had. Can we create some leverage here? Can we get this $1 million to do the job of $2 million? Could it be $1 million as a death benefit or $1 million for care, whatever we need it for? And that's how we're going to be able to create that benefit for somebody. Now, why is that so important? And why I say it gives you choices and gives you flexibility and liquidity? Well, it gives you liquidity because if $1 million was available from someone else's money to pay out when you needed it, wouldn't that be able to be a buffer and protect all of your assets from having to be spent through in order to take care of yourself? So it's going to preserve and protect liquidity. It's also going to keep the estate equitably distributed, meaning what happens if you need a bunch of money for care and then you have to pay one of the kids to come in and take care of mom and dad, and they should get paid, but maybe they get some extra out of the deal or some things, and maybe, as part of that, they want the house now or something. All kinds of family situations develop. Well, maybe one kid just wants to be paid out. Life insurance can solve that distribution equitably, make sure everybody gets what they want. Somebody could keep a house or a business, some other kid could get paid out in cash, $1 million. All tax-free, by the way. So again, people go, well, oh great, I get that $1 million, but the government's going to take 300 grand. Not in this case. The IRS has a code that I wrote about in No Stone Left Unturned that talks about living benefits are allowed to be distributed from a life insurance policy while you're alive, tax-free. Okay, so that's really, really important, and you can put this benefit on your policy anyway. So I look at it like this. If you're going to have insurance in retirement, why not have the kind that's going to pay you both ways? Doesn't make any sense not to. So that's the first reason. You really got to make sure that you have, Okay, now the second reason life insurance is so important is because of the leverage factor. It's money you have access to that you didn't have access to before. It's instant estate. So the reason why that's super important is you can create miracles with life insurance in your portfolio when you attach living benefits to things like your IRAs. Let's go back to that example. Let's say somebody has $400,000 in a 401k IRA, fully taxable. And let's say they're heading into retirement. They're 65 years old. What are they going to do? They don't want to go buy a big long-term care policy. They probably can't qualify anymore. And it doesn't really make sense to be taking this huge financial drag out against $400,000. It's got to create income anyway, right? So we don't want to go buy a big long-term care policy. What are we going to be able to do to make sure it's going to provide income that's going to survive for, let's say this person is married, for their spouse, and going to be able to provide if there's some type of long-term care event? What do? Well, again, you can use arbitrage and leverage. These are fancy financial terms, meaning you can go from one market to another market to take advantage of something, and then on top of that, you can exponentially increase it with leverage. So $400,000 right here. Let's say the market's done really well. I ask people, I'm like, what has your stock portfolio done over the last 10 years? What are you making? People tell me 10, 12, 20%, all kinds of things. Let's say this thing's making 12%. So it's making 12%, and that's a phenomenal return. Well, what could we do with 2% or 1.5% or 1% to make this $400,000 much more prepared for retirement if you're concerned about long-term care, how you're going to deal with these kinds of things I addressed in the beginning? Well, let's say out of the 12%, you just take 2, and you shift it over here to a life insurance policy with living benefits. Well, now you can get approximately another $350,000, and where this is taxable, this is tax-free. And it comes out first. So now this person needs some type of long-term care event or emergency. Those living benefits of the $350,000, those are going to be paid out first before the client has to touch a dime of their $400. So they can keep their wealth and their net worth compounding, growing with this compound interest. They only have to interrupt 2% instead of interrupting the entire thing. You see how that makes more sense to leverage? You could sacrifice 2% instead of the whole thing to get almost double your money tax-free for that specific need of long-term care or living benefit. You could structure this on either spouse. You could structure it for both spouses. You could structure continuation plans. You could structure it in a business. It's unbelievable what you can do when you really understand what living benefits provide. It's money that you can touch. You're going to see it in your lifetime. And the thing is, it's guaranteed. You're going to see it one way or another. Either you're going to see it, your spouse will see it, your kids will see it, your grandkids will see it, your business will see it, somebody you're protecting, but somebody will see that money on a guaranteed tax-free basis. So that's how you can understand leverage, okay? Now, number 3 is working with the right professional. Not all agents are created equal. Not all agents are living benefit focused. Now, here's the problem as I see it as a whole. When I work with financial professionals, being a financial professional, speaking to financial professionals, where I see it as a problem I have identified is there's a large amount of different financial disciplines you can occupy and be really good at. But in order to be a specialist, you have to focus. And so life insurance in itself is such a complex and nuanced and ever-changing and amazing discipline. You really need somebody that's like more insurance focused here. Again, a good financial advisor, fiduciary, duly registered rep, insurance only agent. That what I'm really looking for here more than credentials and more than anything is, do they understand how these products really work? Do they use them for themselves? Can I see examples? That's what I would care about more than anything. I want to see a working knowledge of, can they do this kind of stuff? Can they show you what I'm about to show you next? Because what I'm about to show you next is absolutely incredible, and you can create all kinds of leverage with stuff like this. So let's say, for example, you have money that is sitting in the bank. And you got to keep it safe, you got to keep it liquid. But let's be honest, okay? In the North American tax code, it is the least advantageous thing you could possibly do. In this interest rate environment and with our tax system, amassing capital and putting it in a bank is not going to be very effective for building net worth. And building your wealth as a whole is not going to be very effective. So what do? It's like, well, you want to keep it safe, you want to keep it liquid. What can you do to get some value for it, to protect yourself, to add more choices, right? Again, remember this guy that had $400,000 on the board, it could have been a woman, but this person who had $400,000 on the board in this example, they were able to leverage their $400,000 to look like $750,000 to get another $350,000 tax-free. So having that leverage is a massive benefit. They can make different choices than somebody who doesn't have that extra $350,000. Let me give you an example. When they go to take income from that $400,000, they could take a little more, knowing that there's that 350 grand to protect her or him, whoever the surviving spouse would be. But again, the person that doesn't have that leverage doesn't have that choice. So life insurance, living benefits give you choices. Now this is going to give you some mass choices. Let's say you have $100,000 at the bank, and we know what it's earning. We don't need to make any jokes. Practically nothing, right? But how do you get some value for this? What do you do? Well, there are special types of life insurance policies that you can get that have unique riders in addition to living benefit riders. These riders would include things called waiver of surrender, return of premium, early high cash surrender value rider, early high cash value balance sheet rider, balance sheet enhancement rider, whatever. Some of them are only available in business policies, and I'm not going to go into all the amazing things you can do for business owners like 162 bonus, split dollar, trifecta, all the amazing cool stuff, double bonus, like the awesome stuff you can do for only business owners. I'm not going to go into that coley-boley, like the unreal level of like craziness. That's amazing. Just for this video, I'm going to stick to like the consumer level of living benefits. But you can structure things that are pretty unique here with these riders. So for example, you keep this money at the bank because it's safe and it's liquid. And that's important to you, and I get that. So we want to keep it safe and liquid. It's got to stay in that realm. Okay, we can still use a life insurance policy for that. It comes with a guarantee. Now, how do we keep it liquid? These riders, return of premium, cash value, waiver of surrender, early high cash value, whatever the riders called at the company that let you have access to the cash. Now you have it safe and you have it accessible and liquid. But what do you get for keeping it in this life insurance policy? Well, there's a couple ways you could structure it. You could structure it where you just put money in. So you take 2% out a year, boom, and put it in and just shift it over like that every year, 2%. So you're kind of building up another tax-free bunker. But what do you get for that? You're going to get another $100,000 tax-free of the life insurance with the living benefit. So your 100 now can look like 200. Now you can structure it one of two ways. You could put the whole 100 in like that, or you could feed it in over time. It doesn't matter, but either way, you're making 100 look like 200 for living benefits. Now, if you have a pension choice, an annuity choice, a social security choice, 401k withdrawal optimization choice, you have a better choice because you have more money to use from someone else that you can leverage to help replace income or help add living benefits. So these living benefits, now you can have 100 grand in your account, and that could be the difference. Let me give you an example, okay? Let's say this person has 100 grand and maybe like some other assets or at least a house or something, okay? Now, they're saying that for the last 3 years of your life in today's dollars, you need to be budgeting for about 80 grand a year for the last 3 years of your life. Now, these long-term care and healthcare costs are growing by 7% a year, which means they're getting exponentially more expensive. They're doubling in cost every 10 years, which is kind of daunting, but that's what's happening because of all the waste and fraud and expense. So in order to be prepared for that, you really got to have a lot of extra money and leverage. This is where leverage comes into play. If you don't have time and you don't have money and you can't go make more, which is what I write about in No Stone Left Unturned, you have to leverage. If you're in your 60s or 70s or 50s and there's not that much more time horizon, like when you're in your 20s and 30s and 40s, then you leverage up with these kinds of tools. That's what they're there for. They're there to protect seniors and make sure you mitigate and transfer risks that are in your portfolio to these companies that are built to deal with risks and crush them for you. They just charge a premium to do it, and it's really simple. So again, you get all these benefits for having the right type of policy, understanding leverage, and working with the right agent. So that's why this is so crucial to be able to understand and set up. It comes with the policies and it's free, and this is the difference, right? So let's say it's 80 grand a year and you're in the last 3 years of your life, and this person had 100,000 and a house. They might be able to make it through. That's 240 grand, okay? But now let's say they have this living benefit policy and they have 200,000 tax-free. Now they're only on the hook for 40 grand that last year, and 100,000 didn't even come from the house. The kids didn't have to do anything crazy. They were possibly able to help and maybe have more choices and decisions than if they had much less money watching it dwindle way faster. So again, this is why I took the time to make this video. It's so important to get the right information. I'm not saying that life insurance is always the best choice. I'm saying, number one, if you have life insurance anyway, go ahead and make sure it's the right kind. Take a minute to find out if you're working with an agent who brought these ideas to you or not. If you're not, then find the agent that can go do this for you, because there's plenty of them out there. And number two, you got to understand the leverage game. You have to understand how you can leverage up your money in order to make financial risks that are daunting seem much smaller, and be able to climb mountains and overcome hurdles that ordinarily you wouldn't be able to without these kinds of choices. So again, I'm Daniel Rondberg. I own a company called Advisors to Authors. We're going to be ghostwriting more and more this year. We're looking to become the #1 book writing program for agents and advisors across the country. And I'm going to be sharing cool ideas like I learned from this for retirees. My heart is in retirement. It's what I want to share the most in. I practiced for 8 years. Now I'm writing books, and I just want to make more content and videos to help seniors and help great advisors to get even better ideas, and make sure that we're sharing great things that can really benefit you in retirement, so we can start to turn this retirement crisis around and have better education for everybody. So again, please, if you like the video, please consider liking and subscribing. Click the little bell for notifications, and leave a comment. If there's anything we can improve upon, or have new content, or you'd like to see different, let us know. We're open to that. Thanks again. Take care.